Namaste. Welcome, friends, and good evening. This evening begins a quest, embarking on a profound journey where we alight and align our minds to a 3,000 plus year development from the ancient rishis we find in these beautiful stories of the Vedanta, the closing chapters on our scriptures. A movement that's taken place from praising and adoring the wonders of nature to controlling it and understanding the mechanics behind it, and then ultimately watching it and being in awe. And we feel so incredibly privileged and blessed to be exposed to these profound words and statements found in that movement. In Taittiriya Upanishad, the text that we're taking up and starting this evening, kind of a continuation from last year, refining it and continuing on further into the text. We'll start that process through prayer. So wherever you're at, I invite you to just get comfortable and relaxed in your seat, ready to go on the journey together. And when you're ready, we'll gently begin to close our eyes and just take a few moments to steady our breath and connect together as a group by chanting Om 3 times. Om. 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 ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मराचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुवात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. Peace be, peace be, peace be. May we discover that supreme peace within. May that peace express itself outside, and may there be peace for all. Amen. So I hope everyone's doing well. Since this is just a group of good friends, this evening I thought what we do is review the Upanishad, the first chapter called Shikravali, and me being your good friend, give you what I would consider my teaching notes, the insider secrets. Give you all the goodies that are tucked away in this Upanishad. Now, as I was reflecting on this, I felt that basically every mantra was a goodie. They're all so good, and all of them are important. But my hope and prayer for this evening session and the next 15 minutes we have is to condense compress this chapter full of many mantras into 5 main points, the essence of what was said. And hopefully that will make it so we're all up to speed and feel that it's benefiting our life. So as I was saying, we are the benefactors of this wisdom, handed down generation after generation, coming to us through Pujya Swamiji and all of us here being able to reflect on it. So that movement comes to a certain completion or a head in the Rishi watching, learning how to watch, observe, detach, transcend, the ability to become watchful. Hence the name Upanishad. Upanishad. So we're studying a text called Taittiriya Upanishad. So that word Upanishad, Upa means a certain nearness or closeness. Ni means to rest down. And Shad means to destroy. Shad can also mean to sit. So near, down, sit, or near, down, destroy. The meaning of that is to watch, relax, and transcend our identity, the small identity of dukkha that we've created or woven around the network of words that we use about ourselves. So the purpose of this text or reflection is to help us first and foremost to gain context, to be more objective and enjoy that ability to watch before reacting. And then ultimately too, to know who we are, to experience our essence in daily living. So putting that in simple term, it's dukkha nasham, ananda praptihi. Removal of or destruction shad, of dukkham, feeling bound, feeling unhappy, feeling miserable, and ananda praptihi, being the joyous person that you are, which doesn't require any money or any time or any effort. That's your effortless being. And Upanishad shows us that. So that knowledge or that gain is a gain of an already gained thing. Praptasya praptihi. It's you. So the Upanishad speaks of who you are. It's a being knowledge, not a doing knowledge. Therefore, this knowledge should sit very light on us and make us dynamic and active. Hence, this Upanishad is called Taittiriya Upanishad. That's an interesting name because Taittiriya comes from a kind of small partridge bird. Taittiriya is a kind of bird, Tittiri bird they call it. Where is that coming from? It's nice to just understand a little bit of context of the actual name of the Upanishad. It seems that there's a story where Vaishampana, a guru, was teaching Yajnavalkya, the disciple. And this disciple was extraordinarily brilliant, could memorize everything the guru said, did their own personal study, and took this knowledge. But it seems that this knowledge was misunderstood by the student. And the student, in their overenthusiasm, brilliance, and arrogance, started to manipulate and control people with that knowledge, use it to dominate others. But this knowledge is about the oneness of all beings, who you are as being all-inclusive. So Guru was not happy with that. So what the Guru said is, Guru confronted Yajnavalkya and said, vomit everything that you know. And it seems that he did on the spot. What happened there to follow was that these small little tittiri birds picked up that vomit, the knowledge there. But they were able to process it or assimilate it properly, hence bird. Birds are light, energetic, they eat less, very active, they can fly. They're a good role model for us. That's how we should be. Less consumption, more energy. So Upanishad talks about a kind of revelation or a kind of knowledge which sits light, meditative, while I'm active. So Upanishad gives you a kind of vision that's free from conflicts and confusion. Should I work or should I meditate? Work-life balance. should I meditate on God with form or the formless? We think that's silly, to be honest. We feel that's something like saying, should I look at the pot or should I look at the clay? When you look at the pot, you're looking at the clay. Meaning, when we look around the world, we just see God. God within, God outside, God everywhere. That God-like vision makes you a holy person. A holistic vision makes you a holy person. So that's the vision that the Upanishad gives you, and that's why, hence Taittiriya Upanishad, coming from these birds who had the capacity to assimilate that knowledge and take it lightly, that self-knowledge, vigilant. So this text, I thought a great way to come into these kind of 5 points, compressing the whole essence of the first chapter, is by looking first at the opening Shantipata, the peace invocation. So every Upanishad, every one of these sacred texts we study starts off in a prayerful way. Prayer meaning the capacity to cry out and open your heart and relax the mind. So what I would do is chant this mantra for you. If you have the book, you can follow along. But I'll chant this mantra. It doesn't matter if you know it or not, or if you're able to chant it. Just listening to the mantra itself is very healing. So just listen to this, and then we'll unpack it, because this first mantra really contains the essence of what Upanishad's all about. So I'll chant this, and then you can listen, and I'll also give us a chance to repeat, so you can try practicing it and opening up your voice if you'd like. Om Shanno Mitra Shambarunaha Shanno Bhavatvaryama Shanna Indro Brahaspatihi Shanno Vishnurukrama Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Varishyami Ridam Varishyami Satyam Varishyami Tanmamavadu Tadvaktaramavadu Avadu Mam Avadu Vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, now if you'd like, you can repeat after me. As you bring out these sounds, don't worry so much about the meaning, making sense of it. We'll get to that part. But more so, feel it in your body. Feel your whole body connecting to that jnana, that feeling of touch that pervades the whole skin as you chant and bring out the sound. Om Shanno Mitra. Yes. And when you smile, it's even better. That's the massive opening within. Shambarunaha.
Samvarnaha.
Shanno Bhavatvaryama.
Shanno Bhavatvayamam.
Shanna Indro.
Shanna Indro.
Brahaspatihi.
Brahaspatihi.
Shanno Vishnu.
Shanno Vishnu.
Guru Kramaha.
Guru Pramaha.
Namo Brahmane.
Namo Brahmane.
Namaste Vayo.
Namaste Vayoham.
Tvameva Pratyaksham.
Tumeva Pratyaksham.
Brahmasi.
Brahmasi.
Tvameva Pratyaksham.
Vameva Pratyaksham.
Brahma Varishyami.
Brahma Varishyami.
Ridam Varishyami.
Ritam Varishyami.
Satyam Varishyami.
Satyam Varishyami.
Tanmamavatu.
Tanmavavatu.
Tadvaktaramavatu.
Tatvaktaramavatu.
Avatu Mam.
Avatu Mam.
Avatu Vaktaram.
Avatu Vaktaram.
And then all in one chorus. Om Shanti.
Shanti,
Shanti.
Shanti,
Shanti.
Shanti.
Nice. I can't see all of your faces, but I'm trusting behind that black box, you're smiling and your whole heart is open and you're trembling a little bit in the joy that's released. There's a chemical reaction in just chanting these mantras. So, as we're saying, that knowledge should sit light, the knowledge the Upanishad brings, because that knowledge is about oneself, gain of an already gained thing, accomplishment of an already accomplished fact, that I exist, and that I includes everything. That I is much bigger than what we understand at present. And knowing which, I feel I'm more dynamic, more creative, more loving, more at peace with what is. So, such is the knowledge that Upanishad brings. And hence, that knowledge is very dynamic. Meditation and action, or actionlessness in action, as Sri Krishna talks about in the Gita, where we combine or reconcile the play of opposites that we're mostly tormented with in this lifetime. Upanishad gives us a reconciliation. And I would call that reconciliation a healthy enlightenment, where our pursuit to the spiritual mountaintops doesn't neglect the day to day mundane life. Everyday life becomes sacred. Hence, Upanishad begins with Om. Om, that's how this book starts. Om means everything. Om is an inclusive mantra that contains all sounds, a expression or a symbol of Ishvara, the cosmic intelligence. And the following mantra is Sham. Om Sham. Sham means well-being, where you feel good with at home with oneself, and therefore feeling good with the world. You feel at home with yourself while you interact with the world. That is captured in one word, Sham. So this is called Shanti Pataha, the first mantra of the book, or the gateway into all the other mantras. So Shanti means peace. Sham means well-being. And that's what we start with. That's where our journey starts with. So I want to just highlight a few things that are said in this mantra to make it more intimate and personal for you so we can reflect on these things. Om is an auspicious way to start, connecting everything. Sham meaning well-being. Right away, what the Rishi does is recognizes that to let that knowledge sit light, the knowledge of Upanishad, and for it to benefit my life and all lives, it requires a certain preparedness of mind. And that preparedness of mind is developed through the art of prayer. Prayer means connecting to a higher power, using your voice in your own language, in your own way. Here, the Rishi envisages God as the natural forces which govern our inner and outer world. So Rishi starts by saying, Shanno Mitra, Shanno Mitra. That means, oh, sun, sun of the sky, Mitra. That's the name of the sun, sun of the sky. Please take care of me. Please watch over me. Shanno Mitra. Similarly, Shanno Varunaha. Varuna means the vast waters, or it could mean the oceans. Please watch and protect me. Shanno Varunaha. Shanno Bhavatvaryama. Aryama is a name of it can mean the wind, or it can also mean the in-between space, perhaps where our ancestors are hanging about. Pitras, our past and our future, the bodiless entities moving throughout the space, Aryama. May those entities, or may that soft wind caressing my cheeks, may that also bless me. Shanna Indro Brahaspatihi. Rishi also calls out to the power called Indra. Indra means the guru, the one who you connect with intimately in a deep emotional level, at a physical level. And the guru becomes available in the flesh and also one that you can connect with, maybe through dream or through subtle reflection. The name for that is called Indra, the guru. Brahaspati also. Brahaspati means the guru of gurus, the teacher of teachers, perhaps the first teacher. Where did this wisdom or knowledge come from? Brahaspatihi Shanno Vishnurukramaha. Also, Sham, may Vishnu, the God, or that force that's pervading and maintaining the order, may that one also watch over me, be good to me, take care of me. So, this is a very beautiful prayer. It's the Rishi's way of acknowledging that who I am is in an ecosystem. And I'm going to call upon that ecosystem in the form of these names. Why names? Why not just call it wind? Why not just call it sun? Because there's an intelligence behind it. We feel that there's a certain beautiful design, a certain silent movement by which everything's held together. It's kind of like the difference between me going to my mother and calling her mother, or perhaps calling her by her first name. It has a totally different feeling to it than it does for me to call out mom, ma. When I call her by that name, there's a certain endearment, a certain sweetness, and a way that opens our hearts so that we connect as friends. Whereas calling her Mrs. or ma'am or um, mother may not have the same attitude or invoke the same atmosphere. So here, Rishi starts by creating that atmosphere with the power of their voice. And all of us are capable of doing that. So this is a good example that way. But this segues to what I would call the first and most significant point out of this first chapter. This is what is to come. So after, the invocation to Vishnu, the Vishnu Radukramaha, we find a statement that says, Namo Brahmane, Namaste Vayo. Suddenly, the Rishi moves from connecting to these natural forces to using a word that's called Brahman. And this is a key word. So I will be exhaustively using this word for the remainder of this winter and spring session. So please forgive me. But Guruji taught me that repetition is no sin in spirituality. so I will use that word Brahman because it's the heart of what Upanishad talks about. Brahman comes from a word Bra, which means big, an unqualified big, an all-inclusive order or essence. And surprisingly, this Upanishad unites or creates an identity statement between you and that Brahman. But the question comes, I trust that there's an order, an ecosystem, and that's what I see around me. That's intelligent design within and without, that's operating even without my involvement so effortlessly. But how do I connect? So far, you're just giving me words and words and words. And I wasn't so much interested in the lecture and taking down notes. What I was interested in is elevating myself to that spiritual vision. So Rishi says, Namo Brahmane, Namaste Vayo, Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi, Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Varishyami, Ridam Varishyami, Satyam Varishyami. I feel that my breath is the manifestation of that Brahman, of that supreme power. Namaste Vayo. I bow before and honor the breath. That breath, Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi, I feel that that breath is living God, the very breath which sustains the deep sleeper, completely in ignorance. That sweet touch of breath that the yogis connect with on their seat of meditation, and the very life breath that all sentient beings share around me. I feel that that breath is the living manifestation of God. Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi, Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Varishyami, Ridam Varishyami. I feel that that breath is what's holding everything together, holding the universe and allowing everything to reverberate together. Satyam varishyami. If there's anything true in this world, it's this breath. Oh, it really hits you. Satyam varishyami. So, the first point that I would like to highlight and feel is so important, and these 5 points are my teaching notes to share with you, is never forget the breath. And you can always connect with that supreme power through your breath. Through your breath doesn't mean setting a timetable and doing hundreds of rounds of pranayama, though that can be quite fun from the I am happiness perspective. But means having the ability to guide the mind and find a resting place within, bringing the mind back home to a luminous object that's like your best friend wherever you go. As long as this body is here, as long as this mind is here, breath is here. So breath is an eternal companion that way. Therefore, the central message here is befriend your breath. Namaste Vayo. When's the last time we thought about that? We're worshiping or putting our attention into so many things, mostly the negative things that we remember, the psychological pressures, what he or she said to me, what my coworkers did, what my family members ignored. So many stories, so many negativities. This is what we're worshiping. But Rishi says, why don't worship something that's guiding you every step of the way? A very force by which you can even think, that you can even remember good and bad things. This is the breath, and this is your way. Namaste Vayo. Wouldn't it be awesome to wake up that way? Wake up, kind of shake off the lethargy and the crusties out of your eyes, and then take a deep breath and feel so blessed. I'm alive. Wow. And there's a force beyond my control that guided me here, a force beyond my control that's guiding me to the hereafter. So that way we become supremely relaxed. So the first point is connect with your breath as the Brahman, that supreme, all encompassing love. Namaste Vayo, Tomeva Pratyaksham Brahmasi, Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Varishyami, Ridam Varishyami, Satyam Varishyami. So, first point. Then, Tanmam Avatu, Tadvaktaram Avatu, Avatu Mam, Avatu Vaktaram. The Rishi is also humbled enough to know that the teaching on breath, the teaching on the interconnectedness of life into abiding as that loving being, is not possible without a guide, without a guru. So Rishi says, may you protect the speaker and the student. Speaker meaning the guru. May you protect the person who's revealing this knowledge to me, and also may I be protected and available for listening. So that's a beautiful and pertinent idea that guru is necessary. Hence, the first chapter is called Shikshavali, science of pronunciation. Pronunciation means how to read, how to write, how to speak, and all of that implies a teacher, a guru. You need an expert guide. So I would say that the second point that this Upanishad speaks on, first point is that Brahman, that vast pool of energy, that conscious intelligence experienced as your breath. The second point would be find a guide, find a guru. Now you may be wondering, where do I find a guru, or where do I go? Or what's the nature of a guru? Guru is one who's an abode of compassion. Guru is one who is not reveling in their own private life, but lives a public and shared life dedicated to the service of all beings. Guru is one who's well versed in the scriptures, meaning they received this knowledge from their teacher. And I would say, lastly, Guru is Brahmanishtam. They're happy in and by themselves. That's the biggest test. And you really get to experience that when you live with such teachers. When they're pressed or when they're hanging around crazy people that come to the ashram all the time, how do they respond? With a smile? Or do they get drugged down? Do they feel depressed and tired at the end of the day? So a guru is one who's living this teaching and experiencing that liveliness every moment. That's called guru. So Shiksha Vali, the name of this chapter, is on the art of speaking, reading, writing, connecting with these mantras. And that means that a guru or a teacher, coach, is of utmost importance. So that's the second point. Find a good guide. Shiksha Vali. Now may be saying, well, I don't know any such people. they're quite extinct these days. I would say that when you are ready, when the student is ready, student will find the guru, or guru will find the student. I'm not sure which way it goes. I think that they meet at the same time, but that meeting will take place. Guarantee it. So that's the second point. Tan mam avatu, tad vaktaram avatu, avatu mam, avatu vaktaram. Om Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. May there be peace that floods this life from within. May there be peace outside. Shantihi. May there be peace everywhere. Peace be, peace be, peace be. So how beautiful to set that intention to start. Our mind is mostly just word. So when you use words, masterfully crafted words like this Upanishad or these mantras, it rescripts the brain. You create a new narrative for yourself by which you can move to love and light versus get drugged down by old memories and then suffer a small identity based upon the mistakes that we make. This identity helps us weave in those mistakes as fuel for serving and giving and creating. So it's all just one energy. That's why breath. How do you use it? How do you convert it and alchemize all those experiences of life coming from all directions, blasting in? How do you make sense of it and then use it for positive expression? Upanishad gives you the language for that, which is so special. So, second point is find a teacher and connect with that Guru Parampara, that tradition, that way of unlocking these beautiful texts and the practices of meditation. Now, the second point, we're kind of coming into a few other mantras that are scattered throughout this chapter. And I won't go through how those meditations work. There's other YouTube videos online on our YouTube channel that talk about that and actually take us through those practices. So you're welcome to check those out. And I can also clarify if you need any help. But we find throughout this whole chapter, there are several meditations called upasana. Upasana in this form of the Upanishad is unique in that it's not necessarily about laser focused concentration. And meditation here is also not just about watching. Surprisingly, the Rishi introduces a kind of upasana or a meditation where you learn how to feel related. It's very beautiful. So there's a few names here. I'm just going to give them to you for context. Samhita. There are kind of meditations called cluster meditations, meditations that take up different related objects and help you see the interdependence of things. Similarly, Vyahriti, that means connection, meditation. Or Pankta Swarupena, seeing the whole universe in fives, taking up the number five and seeing everything organized in the universe in terms of the number five. So, why this is important is that one incredible step after finding a teacher and learning how to relate with one's body through the breath is learning how to become what I would call a bhakta or a devotee. So, this is the third point, learning how to be a devotee. Learning how to be the devotee means that you understand that your body and your mind, which includes your thought, your emotions, your ego, your passions, all of that, that entire infrastructure is completely woven into the fabric of the universe. You are never away from the universe. You are a product of immortality, meaning that you are immortal and that your body, mind, ego is deeply embedded into the whole cosmos. And you realize that by recognizing the ecosystem. My thoughts are based upon words. Those words came from references to other objects, which are embedded in the world. My body is embedded in the world. The world is embedded in space. Space is in my awareness. This way you go. You can easily come right back home. Everything is interrelated. And these meditations help you with that, called Upasana. So, what you'll find, which we can go through in future sessions, is that there's meditations on the level of the physical, on the level of your emotional makeup, on the level of your familial background, and then also just on the individual. To be even able to utter a word, we have an ecosystem. You can listen to the sound, the direction that's involved in that sound making, the upper jaw, the lower jaw, the tongue that meets, the inspiration tingling in my heart that wishes to come out and bring light to a certain subject. All of this is one nestled web. So the third point I would say is become a devotee, which means don't take yourself out of the fabric of the universe. Your body is born in the world is in the body. They're interrelated or interdependent. And as a result of that, you feel no sorrow. It's a kind of sorrowlessness experience. It's a kind of feeling like you can't hate anything anymore. You can't hold any grievances because that fellow is just acting based upon their causal conditioning. And that conditioning was because of a certain ecosystem. And that ecosystem is given. So you connect with the giver. Everything is given in this world. And that's called being a bhakta, which is the most important step to self knowledge, discovering the joy that you are. So, third step, connect or plug in. And then you may be asking, that sounds a little too theoretical. I don't know the meditations. We all share this breath. So you can go back that way, connect with the breath. Or just simply see that you can't extricate the body from the world. Body is in the world and goes back to the world. So there's a certain deep relationship there. And it feels so good to be connected. How many of us always desire a true friend? You know, somebody that can mirror us completely, have that intimate connection. Well, I'll give you some hope and positive news is that you have friends with you all the time, surrounding you. The nature, the flora, the fauna, all sentient beings. We're all related. So that way we can all be friends and kind of loosen the fabric of our persona and connect more as deep persons, our personhood. So that's the third point that I'd like to make that comes in this Upanishad. Maybe you call that also surrender. I'm just willing to accept the given nature of everything. Everything's given to me. So I'll just be a good trustee and carry on, relaxed. The fourth point that I want to bring up comes from an interesting mantra that begins with Yaschandasam Varshabho Vishwarupaha. Maybe if you've come to the class here in person or in the previous sessions, you remember this particular mantra. This fourth point is that to enjoy that feeling of connectedness and then also to empower ourselves to have that subtlety of mind, it requires regular practice. Here the rishi calls that regularity or that consistency something called medha shakti, retentive power. And there was a particular mantra for that, and I'd like to chant it for you just so you can hear it. And if you'd ever like to learn this and practice it together, I'd be more than happy to share it. So it goes like this. Om Yaschandasaam Rishabho Vishwarupaha Chandobhyodamratat Sambhabhuva Samindro Medaya Atspranotu Amratasya Devadharano Bhuyasam Shariram Me Vicharshanam Jikwa Me Madhumattama Karnabhyam Bhuri Vishravam Brahmana Koshosi Medaya Pihitaha Shrutam Me Gopaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Has a beautiful rhythm to it. So here, this particular mantra helps us invoke what's known as Medha Shakti, the power to remember and retain. And how it's done is that the rishi envisages Om not just as a contemplative tool, but Om as a living force or a deity. It's almost like the rishi took Om as a person that they could connect with, a kind of luminous person, Om, instead of Om just as like a symbol or Om as something that you think on. they took that Om as a cosmic person that they could connect with. And in that too, in that invocation, they asked, Shrutam me Gopaya, may whatever I've studied, may whatever I've understood or experienced in these heights of revelation or feeling of love and joy in my heart, may able to abide in that, may able to retain that and act in such a way that nourishes those experiences. So I'm sure every single one of you here have had such moments in your life where you felt light, such moments in your life where you felt at peace. It may not have been in some extraordinary orgasmic way. Maybe it was just in a good joke or a very interesting movie or a novel or something that you read, but a moment where in time and place where you felt okay and relaxed. Rishi says, may I remember those moments. May I be nourished by that deeper understanding that conflict and confusion is just an add on. It's just something that happens after. If I take away or strip away all that extraneous layers, underneath is just peace, shantam. If you go a little deeper, that peace is actually just shivam, magic, auspiciousness. And that peace and that wonder is advaitam. It's your presence, one without a second. So may I remember those gaps of quietude. May I remember what my teacher taught me. May I do what the teacher says, not necessarily follow and pick up on all their preferences and do that. My teacher likes a cup of coffee every morning. So then I miss the teaching and then I start picking up a new habit like drinking coffee. No, remember what they said and imbibe those deep truths. So Medha Shakti. How you develop that? Daily yoga, practice of yoga. So that's the yoga Shakti too. The ability to keep a regular practice going. Regular practice doesn't mean that you have to exhaust yourself doing so many rounds every day and feeling the stress of that. It means living an awareful, prayerful life, going day by day. So that's the fourth point that I want to bring up. Practice daily and create that Medha Shakti. That's so beautiful because that mantra further says, in the heart of it, it says, may I be an instrument for the truth to flow. May my words be like madhu, sweet honey. May my words be coated in that nectar before they leave my mouth. I am committed to speaking the truth, but that truth should always be presented in a mind that's ready and in such a way that is kind. I can be straight, but may I not lose the kindness in my words. May I see the person I'm speaking to from their side, put myself in their shoes before I utter the truth. So all that's said in that mantra, so much more. But the heart of it is, may I remember, have the capacity to remember the good things and what my teacher taught me. So that's very important. Fourth point. The fifth point is that in the spiritual pursuit, we typically think in terms of binaries and opposites. And as a result, things can become a little bit perverted or extricated from the society, and we become recluse. So, what I find is so pertinent and beautiful here is that in this Upanishad, the Rishi uses mantras to also show us that life is a yajna. Life is like a continuous ceremony of giving and also receiving. So, you find in the Upanishad a concept of fire ceremony, of learning how to make an offering, send that up into the sky, and then have the patience and the ability to wait and receive. This is a universal principle, and it's something that we plug into as spiritual people, as people who are inspiring to invoke our best and transform our lives for the better service of all. So that concept is called yetnya, and it's spoken about quite a bit in this first chapter. And what's amazing is in yetnya, you can be fearlessly requesting also your needs. I would say a true spiritual person is brave enough to accept perhaps their hurts, hangups, and faults, and also accept what their basic needs are and cry out to the universe for help. So when you're setting on the spiritual path, there's nothing wrong with asking for help and asking for prosperity. Therefore, in the Upanishad, you find a mantra called Shri Kamasya Homa. The Guru invoked the presence of the goddess, Shri. Shri means whatever is produced and given freely, that's actually enjoyable to give, like the milk of a mother, something that's produced effortlessly and then also given freely. So that's called Shri. And we invoke that power of prosperity through first creating space and giving, setting that intention, and then allowing or having the patience to let it come to us. And you can practice this principle all the time. For example, sometime if you ever feel stressed that you can't reach somewhere, sink back. Notice the backside of your body, soften your eyes. Allow that to come to you. Sometimes in our overexertion or over effort, we miss the point, or we cause too much strain and conflict. There's an imbalance of energies, and then what we are going for runs away from us. So it's a universal principle to create space first, give, and then allow our cup to be filled. It's available or an able vessel once we create that space. So that's called yetnya concept. And the rishi did that by first asking for well-being, a prosperous life, may have the proper clothes, the proper food. Rishi was also brave enough to even say, may I have yeshus, may I have fame and glory in the community. He said that. That fame and glory is not for one's selfish ego pursuit. It's because Rishi recognizes the yetnya spirit is that it's good to be recognized. That's a necessary part of my psychology. And I'm not going to deny that and pretend that I'm some ghost, some spiritual person who doesn't care what other people say. No, I deeply care. But my caring is because when ashram is appreciated, when guru and the shishyas are appreciated, that creates a flourishing ecosystem for more people to be exposed to this teaching. And what is the teaching? Your nature is love. There's nothing but love, 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 love. So how beautiful. It's like plugging in my mind to the cosmos. When you plug in, you don't destroy your mind. You don't destroy your ego. Your ego is woven into the ecosystem of the universe and you become an instrument. And that's how we do it in a healthy way. A part of that community also involves our interpersonal lives. And the key characters that we find in our interpersonal lives are as followed. This also is addressed in this fifth point I wanted to make about yetnya spirit. There's a statement that says, Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atithi Devo Bhava. In my pursuit of excellence and spirituality, may I not neglect those near to me. May I not forget where I came from. You know, that grassroots wisdom or grandmother wisdom, as Guruji frequently refers to. So this mantra said, I see Matra, I see my mother as living God. Pitra Devo Bhava. I respect my father as living God. Acharya Devo Bhava. Whoever is teaching me, I respect them as God. And lastly, Atithi Devo Bhava. There are some people who come to me for help, who I may be not knowing. They're not my blood relation, and they may even be demanding something outside of my resources. But I also treat such people as God. That attitude keeps you completely free from inner conflict and in resonance with the order. And I would actually say that when you get resolution with those close people who are participating in your life regularly, or at least who are part of your upbringing or your initial narrative of life, what happens as a result of that is that you, as a result of having that kind of resolution with mother, father, teacher, stranger, is that you gain a certain objectivity, a certain maturity by which you can just see things as they are without the extra layers of story. And how do you do that? I'll give you what's helped me is acknowledging that my mother and father and teacher and this person showing up to the ashram or showing up to my home unannounced, they are a conscious being given an agency that is available for making their own conscious decisions. And I, as a person, give them permission to do that. I give them permission to be who they are. And I know that who they are is a part of a history too. And I also trust in my heart that they're doing the best with what they were receiving, what they were given. So it's a kind of relaxation of allowing them to be who they are, and me freeing myself from feeling that I have to control them or make them do or be a certain way. So that doesn't mean that sometimes we need to create the right boundaries, a certain time limit or a certain way that we relate healthy. But I would say relating healthy means I don't demand anything from you. I'd rather us just participate in life together. Matra Devo Bhava. So I feel that you are God, Mother. Pitra Devo Bhava. Father, I feel that you are God too. Though I didn't get to know you, or though you didn't speak to me kindly, or though you may seem aloof in my life, whatever may be the reason, I trust that this conscious person has a cause for that behavior. And I'm willing to accept that order, gain resolution around it, and allow that person to be who they are. But they brought me into this world. So for that, namaste. I bow before you. I'm brave enough and mature enough to do that, even though they didn't maybe make all the right decisions that I thought were acceptable. I trust that there's a reason for that. There's an order behind it. So how beautiful is that? It almost makes me want to cry thinking about that attitude, because it will really rock your world. And one last point that I just want to touch on that is many times in spirituality, we talk about detachment. Frequently, you'll feel that, or you'll hear that statement, which will come later, neti, neti, not this, not this, not this. Objectify, then detach. But what people miss is that not this, not this, detachment is inclusion. For example, when I observe my body, the observer is overwhelming the body. When I observe the sunrise, there's consciousness sunrise. The consciousness, the observer that I am, includes the presence of the sun, includes my enemy. So when you deepen your awareness, you are not detaching like a stranger, becoming aloof and then pushing things out of your life. When you detach and watch, you're welcoming things in the fold of awareness. And I promise you, when you do that, you become big, you become Brahman, you become love itself. And that's all that's necessary to transform the hearts of all living beings. So these are the 5 points. Connect with who you are, the truth of who you are, Brahman, through the breath. Namaste Vayu, praising the breath. The second point is find a guide. Shiksha Vali. Find the art of the tradition and then step into that, which requires a little bit of pain at first, committing. I put aside all the other different isms that I was following and books that I was reading, and then just focus for some time. And but that's very rewarding for me to get that focus. The third point is plug in, become a bhakta or a devotee. Don't take your body and mind and ego outside of the ecosystem. Remember that you're part of a bigger project. The fourth point is, may we use our memory versus the memory using us. May I remember the good things that I'm learning now and be nourished by them. That's called Medha Shakti. So you do that by regular practice. And lastly, is that we also connect with yajna, working for common good, giving, then receiving. And in the result of that, our whole ecosystem is beautified. We manifest what's called Shri, or prosperity. So your prosperity and your material flourish is not opposed to your spiritual flourish. Spiritual flourish is just like the roots, and the material flourish is like the shoots, the beautiful flowers and blossoming lotuses, and then the birds and bees. Everybody's attracted to that blossoming. So you connect with your roots, Brahmin, through your breath. You express through the shoots as a cheerful person, a person who's at home with himself. And a person at home with himself is so creative, inclusive, and that transcendence overwhelms the world. So that detachment is actually a greater scope of inclusion. So these are the 5 points. I hope is useful for you. It's a lot, but actually it should sit light, because these are simple truths we know. We just have to be reminded, and Upanishad does that. So we'll close with a prayer. And in that prayer, we'll again start by chanting Om. But as you chant that, I want you to connect with your breath, feeling that touch of breath before you utter the sound. And if it's possible, in a wordless way, take that in breath as a prayer, a living prayer. Namaste Vayo. I trust that my breath is what connects me to the rhythm, the order of the universe. Then when you speak from that place, your words will have power and have the ability to touch the hearts of all. So let us chant Om as a way to close. So taking a deep breath in, that prayerful breath. Purnamidam Purnat
not
Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya
Purnamaya Purnameva
Purnamevavashyate
Vasishyate
Om
Om
Shanti
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 Shanti Hari
Shanti
Om Shri
Hariyo
Guru
Sri
Namaha
Rubhyo
Hari
Namaha
Om
Hariyo
Hari Om